talk about Tyler Morton today. He was the substitute Liverpool player, was on loan at Blackburn, at Hull, came on as a substitute for the excellent Alex Scott yesterday in England's triumph in the European Championships, back-to-back by Lee Carsley. Really impressive. We'll talk about that. We're heavily linked with Tyler Morton, and I really want to get this kid. I think he's absolutely brilliant. We're going to do a daily Kudus. In fact, we'll probably do that first. That's going to be a little bit longer than normal, without the bells and whistles, by the way, because it took far too long, and I've got to get out, and I've got things to do, and I need to get the dog walked before it gets too hot. Thanks for all the advice on the clippers, by the way. Hopefully I've got it sorted. It is so hot. He's got a fleece. He's Labradoodle. He's got a fleece, so it needs to be sheared off. And well, now he looks like Gollum. Now he's basically like a hairless dog. So he's not looking too clever. So hopefully I'll get it all finished up today. Anyway, let's have. I'll tell you what. Let's start with your daily Kudus. Okay, so Mohamed Kudus, this has changed so much in the last 48 hours, maybe. Perhaps as recently as Friday, there were 5 clubs in for him. Thursday, Friday, 5 clubs in for Mohamed Kudus. Newcastle, Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, and of course Chelsea. Manchester United dropped out. Nobody officially drops out today. But Manchester United dropped out because they got Cunha. They're getting, they're still bidding for Mbeumo. Arsenal potentially dropped out. They had, I think I called him Rodri, or I think Rodrigo, something like that. The winger that's at Real Madrid, £90 million. Apparently they want him. If not, they might get Anthony Gordon off of Newcastle. Newcastle don't want him anymore because they've got other targets as well. So all these clubs were dropping out, and it basically left Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea. Now, with the Jacob Ramsey news yesterday, it was a little bit of an odd one. I don't care much for Jacob Ramsey. I think he's an okay player. I don't think he's a world beater. I look at 40 million. I think that seems a little bit steep. And I think it's quite telling that that's the player they've decided they need to offload, because they need to offload a player before tomorrow. Are they going to manage it? I don't know. It doesn't put them in an advantageous position, that's for sure. But if you read the stories and read through the stories, they see him very much as a left-sided wide player, or left-sided attacking midfielder or whatever. If they do that, they're not buying Mohamed Kudus. The point being, there's one less club in for Kudus, which leaves Chelsea. And Chelsea, all Chelsea want to do is basically bid offer part exchange players, none of whom apparently, and you never know all this stuff, this is all rumour and conjecture, none of the players that Chelsea want to offer are of interest to Graham Potter. Or maybe the valuation they give to those players, if it's one of the goalkeepers, maybe they value the goalkeeper at 30 million and they value Kudus at 50, and they're saying, well, we'll give you a goalkeeper and 20 million. Of course, West Ham would say, no way, we're not doing that. So I just think we're approaching a period of time with Kudus that we might just have to say, if what West Ham have been doing all the time is having a valuation of a player and thinking, well, he's going to get a 60 million pounds, 65, 70 million pounds, and actually there's just nobody interested anymore. And the whole premise of this transfer window was to sell Kudus to fund the transfer window, but there's not enough interest in him. And he's saying he doesn't want to go to Saudi, who are the only people that will pay big money for him. Do we at this point have to think to ourselves, we might have to keep him? And that makes it sound terrible, doesn't it? Because I think Mohamed Kudus is a very, very good player. He just had a crap season. I do believe if we get the Moyes version of Kudus, if Graham Potter can get that out of him, if he can build a midfield that gets the best out of him, and see, the thing is, he very much plays on the fly, Kudus, doesn't he? And maybe in a counter-attacking team, maybe it will never be that. Maybe we'll never be that under Graham Potter. But I do think if he can get back to the form he showed in his first season, we'll be turning down bids of £80 million for him. So it might be no bad thing to keep him, but it means the board are going to have to put their money in, which they need to do now. No more talk. We've heard the talk. We've heard that they'll put their own money in. Now it needs to be done. Whenever the deadline is, well, we need to start signing players. The only other bit of the Daily Kudus news, if you want, that is probably worth talking about is a few rumours that we might be prepared to, or Liverpool might be prepared to do a swap deal with Harvey Elliott. I don't know. It wasn't the most believable thing I've read, but it would be remiss of me not to include it in my little Mohamed Kudus update. Which, there you go, that's it. That's Mohamed Kudus. But it does segue quite nicely into the Harvey Elliott stuff. Does segue quite nicely into the England under-21s, which was absolutely magnificent last night, by the way. I was thrilled, watched it all, watched the extra time and everything. Absolutely brilliant. What an achievement. But I want to talk about Tyler Morton because this is a guy we have a real chance of getting this guy. So I feel that this is somebody I want to talk about because I was so impressed with what I saw, and I hadn't really spent any time watching him up until the point where we were linked with him. Well, to be fair, we were first linked with him in January. Ex-West Ham United employee was the first person that said we were interested in him, but there was a fresh load of links 3 days ago, on from the newspaper. I think it might have been the Mail Online or something like that, and a number of others. So apparently we are really interested in him, and had a good chance to have a look at him because he came on as a substitute for the see that challenge on Alex Scott. What a good player he is, by the way. But not so many of them. So many of that crop of England players are so good. But I really like watching Alex Scott play football, and I can't have been the only West Ham fan who watched that thinking, wish we'd have got him. He was at Bristol City, wasn't he? And we had a real chance of getting him. But hey ho, there you go. One of those things, I guess. Before I do that, today's video sponsor is Surfshark. Surfshark are a VPN. A VPN is something you're going to be needing to protect your device, whether you're watching this on your mobile device, whether you're watching it on your laptop, on your big computer, whatever that may be. A VPN is going to help mask everything that you're doing. Not that you're doing anything dodgy, not at all. Far from it. But there's a lot of above board stuff that we do on our devices, be it using banking apps that we just don't, or other people getting our passwords. There's just a lot of stuff on your computer and on your phone that you just don't want other people to get. Not many people know this, but when you sign up for your broadband, you actually sign, in the terms and conditions, you actually sign permission for them that they can have a look. They can have a little snoop on what you're doing. Now, probably they don't. I'm just letting you know the facility is there. And your browsing data is probably not as secure as you think it is. Browsing data has never bothered me, to be honest with you. It's always been banking apps and things like that. If you're out on the public Wi-Fi, if you're out on 5G, you don't want anyone getting into this stuff. So what you do is you just download Surfshark. One account gets you all your devices covered. It's really, really easy. You just put Quick Connect on it, and it covers and protects everything. All your devices, all your internet use. We've got a discount code, which is HammersChat, or one word. You go to surfshark.com/HammersChat, or just go there, put the discount code in. You get 4 months free, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's really, really good. Go and check it out. Don't take my word for it. Go and Google whether you think you should be getting a VPN. If you decide that you do think you need one, come back here, click on the link below, and use that. Get your 4 months free. I'm pretty sure you won't regret it. It also allows you to change your geolocation, which has got nothing to do with geo, funny enough, but just allows you to access content ordinarily you would not be able to access in this country. Tyler Morton. So, 22-year-old, signed a new contract in 2023, is on Liverpool's books. They got some really good players, Liverpool. They've got some really good players coming through. Well, certainly as far as I knew, 3 players that were on the pitch yesterday for the under-21s. Konsa, Harvey Elliott, who's been outstanding, of course, doesn't need any introduction there. And Tyler Morton. They may have more. I'm sure they got more, upcoming young players than that. But they're the players that they've been buying, be it Frimpong, Kirkes, Wirtz, are just in a different stratosphere. Even look at the players that they've already got. Gravenberch is brilliant. Szoboszlai, obviously Salah, Van Dijk. They got some superstar players. And actually, you look at another one of their academy graduates, who of course is whose name is escaped. Oh, why can't I think of his name? Hold on. You're going to have to hold on there. I've got to try and think who it is. Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones, I could see him. I could picture him. He came through their academy. They've got academy players there, and I just don't see, particularly with the likes of McAllister as well, there's just not going to be a pathway for these younger under-21 players to come through. And for that reason, they're available. Obviously, Quansah is going to go to Leverkusen. I think that's right. You have Elliott is highly likely to go to Brighton rather than West Ham. Why would you go to West Ham when you could go to Brighton? You just wouldn't. West Ham's stock is so low at the moment. But Tyler Morton, I think we've got a real chance of getting. I really do. As I say, he was at Blackburn on loan. He was at Hull on loan. And he's not... I mean, some of those England players are outstanding. Obviously, we're not going to get Elliot Anderson. Obviously, we're not going to get Alex Scott. But what I saw from Morton, who, if you read the reports, is willing to come to West Ham, well, that's something, right? That's in itself is a feather in his cap as far as I'm concerned. Technically, very, very good. So, I don't know if you saw the game. You saw the under-21 game. England went 2-0 up. Alex Scott got hacked down. He tried to carry on, but he was injured. And I thought him and him and Elliot Anderson were so good. So good. Excuse me. Got bloody hay fever. Was so good in the middle of the park. And I thought, well, how are England going to deal with this? Tyler Morton replaced Alex Scott. And for the first little while, it was a bit shaky. Then he really grew into the game. And I thought he was making some really telling defensive contributions. Had some really, really good moments in central midfield. And then Germany he came into the game at a difficult time because Germany had about a possession and a lot of territory, I guess, in the game where they were pressing forward. So it went from 2-0 to 2-2. So I thought it was a difficult period for him to be involved in the game. Eventually, England clawed back, got some momentum. Lee Carsley made some changes because the England team had worked so hard. And there were times where you needed to control the ball, and I just thought Morton was really, really good at that. I thought he made some really good interceptions as well. And just generally looked impressive. And technically, I thought he looked really, really sound. And he didn't play in the semi-final, but I think he played in the quarter-final, looked really good. But then Lee Carsley swapped things up at the semi-final against the Netherlands. At that point, I was made aware that we were linked with a player, so I'd had a little look at him, and I went back and looked at some of his other stuff. But I was so impressed with how he grew into the game. And as every minute went on, he became more and more influential. Anyway, in the end, he put a brilliant cross over. It was, ironically enough, a bit like a Trent Alexander-Arnold cross. Really good. Jonathan Rowe sort of stooped down. He slipped, but he still managed to get enough contact on the ball. Scored the winning goal. Another player that West Ham have been linked with. Do you remember? Well, pretty sure that was the guy that was at Norwich. C.J. Egan-Riley was there. Another guy that West Ham have been linked with, of course. Who's gone, moved to Marseille, moved to France as well. And I was just so impressed with what I saw. And then you read this morning that West Ham are still really in for this guy. And this brings us back to the sort of tie-in with what I was talking about with this Kudus thing. Let's not muck around with this. If he is genuinely a target for West Ham, and I suspect he is, let's just go and get him. I think there's probably a deal to be done with Liverpool. Liverpool just spent a lot of money. They're going to get £30 million for Quansah. They're going to get, who knows, £40 million for Billy Elliott. They're going to look to recoup money. He's not going to be in that price range. He's just not. I suspect there's a deal to be done there. I don't know if it's a loan with an obligation to buy, but I want to get him off the books because Liverpool have had such a big spend. It will probably mean if they bring in 70, 80, 90 million, it probably means that they might be able to go out Liverpool and get another player. They're rumoured to be in for a striker, so they're going to want to get a deal done. I just hope we do it. I really, really do. I think it was disappointing to miss out on Habib Diarra, but I didn't know anything about him. As I say, I hadn't heard of him before we were linked with him. And I have to say, I hadn't overly heard of Tyler Morton. I remember ex-West Ham United employee doing the update on him. I remember him being in a list of players that we were linked with, whatever, back in January. But couldn't say I know anything about him. I know there's something different about watching this guy play, watching him play for the under-21s, and seeing that he's got so many of the attributes which obviously our midfield lack. I hope we can go and get him. I hope there's some truth into it, but if we're waiting on this Kudus money to come in, I'm not convinced it's going to happen. I'm really, really not. I just think whether we've done a bad job or whether we haven't, a good or a bad job of trying to sell the players, it doesn't matter anymore. The excuses don't matter. It hasn't worked. We've not been able to sell players. And I know there were some people, I always want to encourage people to say anything that they want in the chat, you know. Well, as long as it's pleasant and not nasty, you know what I'm saying? Particularly, you know, on football things. So there's some people trying to make a defence. I'm not sure whether they're defending the board or not. I don't want to, but I am paraphrasing here. But when they're saying, oh, you know, it's early and we were never really in for Diarra, and it just feels like they're excuses for why we've not got deals done. But I think looking at other clubs are doing business. We're not. It's not a good look. And I just think we're probably more desperate than a lot of the other clubs. I think we need to do business because of how bad we were last season. So I just think if it is true that the board are going to put this £90 million in, it needs to be done now. It really does. Maybe they're waiting for June the 30th or whatever and the next PSR rollover point to come in. But even if that's the case, we are only talking about a couple of days. It needs to be done. It needs to be done now. But, you know, start negotiations now. If you start negotiations now, then you're probably not going to end up paying the first instalment of transfer fee for a couple of days anyway. The European Championships are over, so he's not going to be distracted. I'm pretty sure Tyler Morton's going to go on holiday now, but I'm pretty sure his agent's going to be ready to start doing negotiations. I think it's really important we get this first deal done, get it over the line. Anyway, there you go. I'm going to go out now. I'm going to go and try and take the dog out before it gets too hot. Then get the scissors out and try and we got half a shaven dog. There you go. Somebody asked if he was sort of manicured like a poodle. No, I mean it's a real mess. He's a real mess. And my daughter said you can't take him out like that, but it was so hot last night. At least he's going to be cool. At least he doesn't look like a sheep anymore. Well, it's like half a sheep, basically. But anyway, enjoy your day. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.